Not many television shows are on the air for 1,000 episodes, but a Bay Area community access program is about to reach that milestone. And to make it even more remarkable, the program is put together by senior citizens, most of whom start with no TV experience. Arts and entertainment reporter Don Sanchez has their story.
Now, do you want the shot with the black curtain or the green curtain?
Both.
It's almost showtime in Mountain View, where an all-volunteer crew is getting ready to tape a program called The Better Part.
Okay, give a countdown.
3, 2.
The weekly magazine show has been running for 27 years on community access television, started by a club from the Cupertino Senior Center. The only requirement to participate, you have to be at least 50 years old. Today, 81-year-old Ernie Payeni is on camera. 80-year-old Myrna Gelfman is on teleprompter, and the director is 76-year-old Phil Lenahan.
It is really mental health for people our age when you have your mind working so intensely and so quickly that it just keeps all those little things that you're supposed to keep alive in your brain firing. And we're going to switch the camera 2 for a 2-shot. We're going to run through it twice.
Better motion.
A little more zoom in.
The Better Part runs on community access stations all over the South Bay. It's taped at the nonprofit KMVT, which also trains the volunteers.
Everybody just pitches in there. If someone needs help, someone comes to the rescue.
The members of the crew have changed over time, but the program is so successful, they're now taping the 1,000th episode.
And one of the interesting things about a show like that is that other shows, producers and crews, come and help out on their shows to learn.
One reason volunteers stick with the show is they can produce programs about anything that interests them. From an all-Japanese combat unit in World War II.
What we wanted to do was to show that we were just as good as any other Americans.
To saving peregrine falcons. To everything you ever wanted to know about coffee.
There's the Robusto and the Arabica.
Marilyn Priel has tried every production job available. On this day, she's the floor director. But she also directs in the control room and hosts.
It's not that I really like to be on camera, but I like to tell the story, and I keep thinking I've done enough, but then I always meet someone else, and they have a story, and I want to tell it.
When we asked how long these volunteers will stick with it, just about everyone had the same answer.
As long as I'm able.
Okay, let's stop in the beginning again.
Don Sanchez, ABC 7 News.
Anson Burlingame was born in 1820 and died in 1870. He was a congressman from Massachusetts, an abolitionist, and a fierce supporter of Abraham Lincoln. The town of Burlingame, California, is named after him. Today, over 140 years after his death, he remains a hero to many Chinese in China and to Chinese Americans here.
Well, it certainly seems that he was a very solid citizen, but I understand he was a very colorful character as well. David, can you tell us some of his exploits?
Yes. First and foremost, he was a lawyer. Then he later ran for the state Senate seat in Massachusetts, and then later he became a congressman from there. Besides that, he was known as the abolitionist, very strong personality, good, handsome person, as well as a good orator, and very definitely a principled person.
Now, George, tell us about Burlingame's role in China.
Lincoln appointed him to become the ambassador from the United States to Beijing, to the Manchu court, which Burlingame accepted.
So Burlingame comes. How was he treated by the Manchu court?
Okay. His appointment was in 1961, and he landed in Hong Kong about, I think, October. And then he took his time. He didn't just go to Beijing right away. He took about more than half a year wandering around the Chinese countryside to really get to know the country.
That's interesting.
Before he presented the credentials in the summer of 1862. Yeah. He became a very popular figure in Beijing with the international community as well as with the Chinese. because he was charming, he was congenial. But what charmed the Chinese about him was that he's the first one among all the Western representatives to talk about the sovereignty of China.
I'm Marilyn Triel with The Better Part. In 1908, an international race around the world took place in the new sensation, automobiles. The United States driver won. In 2014, a commemorative tour of their historical route was made. Our guest organized the tour and drove a 1928 Plymouth Roadster. It's a lot of good stories to tell, so stay tuned and hear some of them.
1928 Great Race was from New York to Paris. 4 teams, Italy, Germany, France, and the U.S. And you can imagine no roads, no gas stations.
And it was around the world.
It was around the world, and it went across this country, and then in Seattle they shipped to Yokohama, Japan, and then started in Vladivostok, Russia, and went on to Paris. And the American team won. Took them 167 days to do it, and it was a very grueling race.
Well, tell us about your tour. You went over 16,000 miles.
Yeah, from my house in the Santa Cruz Mountains, going west around the world, back to my house is 16,358 miles. That's driving miles. That's not airline miles. That's not shipping miles. That's in the seat of this car.
How long did it take?
We were on the road about almost 4 months. We were in Europe and Asia for three months.
Well, tell us the routes that you followed.
We shipped it from Oakland to Alameda to Yokohama, Japan. Picked it up in customs in Japan and drove across Japan. The original port that George Schuster shipped out was Suruga, but they don't ship out of there anymore. There's no ferries that run out of there. So we had to go about 75 more miles to reach the port, and then we ferried up to Vladivostok, Russia, and had to wait there a day to get the car out of customs there, and then we started our trip. And
so what did you do in Vladivostok while you were?
We saw the city. It reminded me a lot of San Francisco. It's a nice old city. Interestingly enough, 2 German architects in 1895 built the first modern office building there. It was the first building to have an elevator, central plumbing, and central heat. And then we went by, we found out where Yul Brynner's house, where he was born at, and coincidentally, that house today is a barber shop.
Interesting.
I was going to go in and ask for a Yul Brynner, but I realized I have one already. You know.
Well, that's cute. And then, so you crossed Siberia. What was it like going through Russia? Because they don't have tourists there very in that area.
Actually, a Russian border guard hugged me there and said, "Welcome to Russia. We don't get Americans through here that often." So Siberia, though, for 6,000 miles to Moscow was actually just rolling meadows and grain fields and birch forests. It was very pretty and lush, but nothing dramatic. When we went into China from Vladivostok, that was the one border that we had to cross that separated us from other people that did this venture. We're the only 2 people that has ever reenacted the Great Race accurately. And that border is a commercial border only, trucks and buses only, no pedestrians, bicycles, or cars. So we had to pay a semi-truck driver $500 to take this car about 5 miles. We trucked it across the border. And then I had to, because I was a rider at the time, I had to pay a $50 bus ticket to drive 100 yards across the border to the Chinese customs. And then we were on our way. We went through China and Mongolia and then back into Russia from there.
What did you do for fuel?
Believe it or not, in the middle of Siberia, in the middle of nowhere, I never lost a cell phone signal, and every hotel, and some of them were marginal, always had internet, and there was always a gas station about 20 miles apart.
Amazing.
So we took extra gas, but we used it a couple times, but right after we poured it in, 5 miles later, there was a gas station. So
was there a lot of countryside, like country roads in Russia? I'm thinking it must have been kind of primitive.
It was the Trans-Siberian Highway if you can pick the worst dirt road in this country, make it double wide, and then have to drive at 50 miles an hour with semi-trucks, that's the Trans-Siberian Highway.
Goodness. Welcome to the better part. Bees, what would we do without them? According to Wikipedia, there are 20,000 species of bees worldwide, and they are found on every continent except Antarctica. Today, we'll be concentrating on the honeybee in the Bay Area. Honeybees pollinate the trees that give us food and produce the honey that sweetens our life. And we've come a long way since the 1800s, when people actually killed the bees in order to harvest the honey. Let's find out the facts and the fiction about the honeybee. I should point out to our guests that there's a live hive in the studio today. And perhaps we should take a moment just to address the general fear of bees. These bees are behind glass and they're perfectly safe. But should I be afraid of bees?
Bees are stinging insects, and some people are allergic to them in varying amounts, some to fatal allergies. So it's wise to be cautious of bees, but not to be afraid.
Why do bees sting?
Bees sting defensively. Bees are protecting their stores, they're protecting their hive, and they're social. So they communicate with each other, and they'll sting out of defense.
So are they dangerous or not dangerous?
They can be dangerous.
What should I do, heaven forbid, that I get stung?
If you've never been stung before, immediately get the stinger out of you. The stinger will continue, it's attached to a venom sac, it'll continue to pump venom into your body for a few seconds. So get the stinger out as quickly, and then get someone near you in case that you have a severe allergy and you may have severe allergic response.
How do I know I've got the stinger out?
You can see them, they're visual, and it's small and black, and it'll have a small attachment to a sac. So you find the spot where it hurts and scratch it any way you possibly can.
What's the website?
www.beeguild.org.
www.beeguild.org.
Besides your work with the Santa Clara Valley Beekeepers Guild, you also go out into the community to educate people about bees. You were at the Cupertino Library recently, and we watched you enthusiastically teach a group of young students. They really got involved and asked questions. You demonstrated the importance of honeybees to our well-being in a way that they couldn't fail to learn. What a wonderful program for the library.
Hi, I'm Val Jeffrey with The Better Part, and I'm here at the Cupertino Library with Elizabeth Bartholomew, who is the librarian here in the children's section, and we have just watched a wonderful demonstration on bees. Thank you for talking to me.
Oh, absolutely. I'm delighted.
The library obviously puts on different things for the children to do. Mm-hmm. Why did you pick bees?
This program is part of a larger program that the library is offering this spring. We're in the middle of a pilot project called STEAM Leads, where we're offering STEAM-related programs to children sort of based on research questions. We want them to learn how to do research, and we want to offer them programs that make the research interesting. So March is the first month. I got the first month. And we've had the Bee Guild come before, and they're very interesting. Bees are very exciting to the kids and grown-ups. It's an exciting topic. So we built our research theme around bees this month. The research theme is the colony collapse disorder, and we're asking kids to do a little research into it and come up with ideas of how to save the bees. We're going to be superheroes this month. We're going to save the bees. So Ken is our first program. He brought his bees and talked about colony collapse.
I'm here with Akil, and we've just had a wonderful demonstration on bees by Ken. And I'm going to find out how he liked it. Did you enjoy that presentation?
Yeah, it was fun.
What does the queen bee do?
The queen bee lays all the eggs so that the colony can become bigger.
Did you know that before you came today?
Not really.
No? What was your favorite part about it?
My favorite part was tasting the honey and see which areas give the most tastiest honey.
And how many areas were there?
3.
And which one did you like best?
Cupertino.
We commend you, Ken, for what you're doing for the community.